Today we are doing a pick a card. We're going to ask your spirits what guidance you need in the coming year. So we're going to start by selecting 3 piles. That one flew out. Pile number 1, 8 of coins. Pile number 2, 8 of swords. These are very similar energies, I see. A little bit of difference in sadness and frustration, but we'll save that for the reading. Ooh, ooh, ooh. I'm gonna go with this one. It fell out first. Ace of Swords. And we'll give these to a pile. I'm going to do one more for each pile from this deck. Right. And do 2 from the Line Striders deck. 2 for each pile. Spirit, what guidance do they need for the year ahead? Guidance. These 3 groups for the year ahead. It actually gave me 3 cards. 1, 2. Ooh, I have 4. I'm gonna start back at 1. 1 more card, please. Group 3 for the year ahead. Okay, I'm going to do 1 card each, 1 oracle card. This is the Line Striders Animal Oracle. Right. So we have our 3 piles. You can choose whichever one you're drawn to most. If you're drawn to more than one, feel free to choose more than one. Again, it does look like pile 1 and 2 have sort of similar energies, so it may be the case that you're drawn to both of those. Okay, we're going to start with pile number 1. So let's see your cards. We have the 3 like somebody's making an escape, or reversal I would say is wanting to make an escape but maybe has not done that yet, maybe having some hesitation on that. Let's see what else we have. We have also the Five of Wands. There's a lot of active energy here. Wands typically refer to things that happen quickly or generally action. It looks like we have some conflict, which makes a lot of sense here. Our Eight of Coins looks like there's some frustration. Oftentimes this would be hard work put in. Our Eight of Coins would typically refer to reaping the rewards of the hard work that you've put in. But in this case, it looks like there's been so much work put in. The work is not done. The work may be frustrating. So we have some conflict, wanting to get away from that conflict, really frustrated by the work that you've been putting in. So we can clearly see the problem here. What we're looking for is the guidance for the year ahead. Let's see what else we have. This is our Oracle card. I'm going to put it over here. Rooster Pride. I think this could go one of at least two ways. You may be proud of the work that you've put in already, or it may be the case that you have too much pride. Let's see our other tarot cards. Three of Cups. It's with our Three of Wands. If we're looking for guidance, I think what this would be telling us is to, in order to get rid maybe of some of that frustration, or even get some more maybe help or support, look to your friends, look to your family, get together with others. I think that would be really beneficial. I even want to say, considering all the conflict that's here, this may refer to possibly therapy, possibly just asking for guidance, asking for advice from your friends, from your family, from the people who know you well. And our last tarot card is the Hierophant. This does make me think that this may be referring to therapy. The Hierophant is like the organization. This also makes me think that all this frustration and wanting to get away may be in reference to your work or some other organization, perhaps. If you're part of a religious organization or something like that, maybe it's just been really difficult times with that. But it does look like there's some frustration surrounding work. So I do see a lot of the difficulty here. This may also just be saying, if you're looking for people for support, there may be support groups that you could use. I don't necessarily see anything about, let's say, like addiction or something like that, where we would typically see a support group, but that doesn't mean that they couldn't be helpful. There are therapy groups and things like that that would also be helpful, but it could even mean just finding like-minded people that are part of an organization, seeing these two cards together. It could be co-workers, like maybe you're seeing some frustration at work, you're wanting to get away. I mean, you're climbing a ladder. It may also be the case that you are wanting to get ahead, rise up the ladder, climb up that ladder, but maybe you're having some difficulty. So this may also be referring to talking to people in your organization, maybe making that known that you're wanting to get ahead, being proud of the work that you've done. And if you're working this hard, I see the frustration in that work. You can tell how much you've done. Look, she's making these little like thorny pentacles, and look how many she's already made. It almost looks like, so look at the birds all kind of flying the coop. She's staying put. She's completely in this. Her foot is stuck in those thorns while everybody else is flying away. This reminds me right now of the teaching profession. The people who are staying are really struggling in this profession while so many of them are leaving. And that's not to blame any of the ones who are. I'm sure they have really good reasons for doing what they're doing, but look at how much hard work this woman is putting in. So she should be proud of what she's done. And if you're doing this much work, your coworkers, your organization should be proud of what you've done as well. So it could just be that you need to make that known. Get together with other, people in your organization. Let them recognize the work that you've done. Let them know that you're wanting to climb that ladder, and that may resolve a lot of this conflict that you're experiencing. Some of these people in this conflict almost look like they're smiling. This reminds me of siblings. Just kind of banter. Because it does look, and 501s does tend to be a conflict card, but it just reminds me of like siblings in a dog pile. Like, yes, they're kind of competitive. Each one of them wants to end up on top, but at the same time, they love each other. And so, this frustration that you're experiencing, look, you can tell she is not giving up. She's obviously doing this because there's something that she knows that she can get out of it, and that doesn't have to be purely like external. It could be that she enjoys this process even though she's really struggling. And again, that makes me come back to teachers. Like, not sure why. It could be many other professions as well. I know there's a lot of professions where people are tending to leave. So it could just be, even though the work is hard, it's worth the effort that she's putting in. And so here, even though there's conflict, it doesn't look, this guy, I see this one, he's very much smiling. He's having a great time. And it's interesting, he's very different from all the others. So it could be that even though there is conflict, it is not all bad. Like, part of that conflict is what makes what you do worth it in the end. I'm curious. I would like to get one more card. Which deck would I like to choose from? I've done 2 from the Line Strider. Let's do one more from the Line Strider deck, just to kind of finish this off. Make some space right in the middle here. Spirit, what's the overall guidance for pile number 1? What can they do to reach what it is they're wanting to reach? To remove this conflict. Yes, it may not be all bad, but what can they do in the year ahead? What is their guidance, Spirit? Generally, this is a card of difficulty. It's not a card I would be hoping for your guidance, but I think what this means to me is to protect yourself. It does look like there may be more struggle in the future, but again, if that's the case, it should be worth it. Make sure that it's worth it. But protect yourself, protect your mental health. And try not to fall into, that negative headspace. I would love another one, because I don't like to end on something this. Let me see if we can get anything else. Any other guidance for pile number 1? Spirit, for the year ahead. Guidance for the year ahead for pile number 1. Okay. This is very much, to me, similar to that 8 of Coins. 8 of Coins, again, tends to be reaping the rewards of the hard work that you've done, whereas the 7 is doing the work. So again, it does seem like there is much more work to be done in the year ahead. This card always reminds me of building your nest. You know, people say you've made your bed, lie in it. You're making your bed. So while you're making your bed, while you're, you know, building your nest, make sure that you're building something that you want to be in, because if you're wanting to stay, if this might be an organization, it might just be, you know, maybe it's a hobby or something that you're doing on the side. It doesn't have to be work necessarily. That's what I get from this climbing the ladder, but it definitely doesn't have to be. But what this is telling me is that there is still work to be done, and that doesn't have to be a bad thing. You know, the road to the things you're doing is usually the most fun. It's usually well, for some, I would say, for some it's the most enjoyable part. Some people do prefer just to get to the end, reap those rewards in the end, but there is some more work to be done. So build your nest, you know, try to stay positive. We don't want this very negative, like she's on crutches, she's kind of injured. Please don't take that to be that you might be injured. But to me, this refers to mental health. So, you know, just be careful of your mental health. Keep climbing that ladder. Be proud of what you've done so far, and try to gain some support. You know, try to get with an organization or talk to those in your organization or get with friends and family. But it does look like you're going to be benefited by bringing some other people in, you know, talking to those people. Okay. Spirit, thank you. Pile number 1, this was your reading. Thank you for being here with Universal Translations Intuitive. See you next time. Alright, hello, pile number 2. You chose the 8 of Swords. This is our 8 of Swords. Looks like a girl, scared, hiding. It looks like there's been some difficulty surrounding her. This represents to me maybe some difficulties with mental health, perhaps. It could also be physical health, but it just looks like there's been some difficulty surrounding her. Maybe it's not even, you know, physical health with yourself. It could just be difficulties surrounding you, like perhaps with your family. And I don't mean in the upcoming. It looks like this is the energy that the guidance is for. So maybe this is where we're starting from. So we're looking for guidance on a situation similar to this. Look in the background, there's this beautiful castle, which almost looks like this may be where she came from. So maybe there were some really recent difficulties or struggles where she's coming from, living in this beautiful castle perhaps, and now she's hiding. I don't want to say a cave. I can clearly see that there's bricks here. She's got her little kitchen, but maybe just leaving the house recently, maybe having some difficulty living on your own, perhaps. Let's see what other cards we have. Alright, so I'm going to try to go in order here. The first card we have here is the Temperance card. Okay, so needing to find balance. Temperance, you typically see that 1 foot in the water, 1 on the ground. So needing to find balance between the emotional, the intuitive, and then the physical, that stability. This typically makes me think of having patience as well, but look how many things are going on. This again makes me think perhaps you just left the house, maybe your parents' house, perhaps you just left a relationship where you were living together, but this just makes me think that now, being on your own, there are all of these responsibilities that are all yours, right? She's got, I want to say 8 arms, but I actually think it's more. 1, 2, 5. She's got hands coming out of elbows. There's hands all over the place. There may be 12 or so here. But does look like there's a lot of things that are on your plate that maybe were not there before. So a lot of responsibility that has become yours. The next tarot card we have is the Four of Wands, and it did come out in reverse. So generally the Four of Wands would represent happiness. Here we see a couple. It looks like they've just been married. I am a little concerned that this is in reverse. I do tend to read reversals, so maybe it's longing for that happiness, perhaps. And again, that could come back to maybe you just got out of this relationship. Maybe you're having a lot of trouble on your own. Maybe you're, maybe wishing you still had that for support. Let's do your oracle card. Defend. Okay. I do want to see what else you have, but this makes me think like maybe somebody thought that you couldn't do it on your own, so maybe you're needing to defend yourself and say, no, this is possible. With all the arms, again, you have all of these arms, especially this one sticking up. It's like, no, I can do this on my own. This is the crab, this is his strong arm. And it could, it's not that you can't do it on your own. There may be some difficulties there, but look at this woman. She's absolutely doing everything on her own. She may have needed to grow many extra arms to do it, but maybe what that means is just, balancing, finding that balance between all of those different responsibilities that you might now have. And just because this is in reverse does not mean that you can't have that happiness. It does still refer to happiness to me, and it could be a longing for it, but I don't think that means that you can't have that happiness. Okay, we have two more tarot cards here. We have the Strength, which also came up in reverse. So I'm going to put her in reverse. Strength card with Temperance. Wow. I think this is just, to me, it just tells me, continue to be strong, continue doing what you're doing, hold your ground, just continue to have that strength, just keep persevering. And the very last card, again in reverse, is the Magician. Okay. This tells me that you really can do anything that you want to do. You can make, if this is a new life, you can make this new life whatever it needs to be, but you're having some difficulty right now. Maybe you're not seeing the strength that you have. You're not seeing that you really can do anything to get to the life that you want. So it does look like there's some hesitation or some difficulties, maybe, some setbacks. These are some struggles surrounding you. So maybe you have had some setbacks. But at the same time, when I read reversals, it doesn't mean that it's only the negative aspect, and reversals aren't always negative. But this, I think in both of these cases, all three of these cases, I do think that you can find that happiness. You do have the strength, and you can do anything that you want to do, anything that you need to do to create the life that you want. It's just that you're having trouble with that right now. So I think continue to stand your ground, defend the things that you are doing, but find balance. For me, it's always helped to create a schedule, and that can be a list of things to do each day, spread out those things to do, because sometimes it's just too much and you think you need to get them all done in that day, and that's just not the case. I know some people like to do certain things on Mondays, certain things on Tuesdays. So if it's, some people also, I can't meal prep, but some people like to meal prep. So that can be your Sunday thing. Mondays you can vacuum the house. However you need to organize your time to get all of these things done without thinking that you need to do them all at the same time, because you don't. Also know that not all of those things need to be done. Certain things are of course vital and important for living, comfortably, but there do tend to be things that we do that we don't need to do. We want to do them, yes, but if you need to leave some things by the side for now, do that. Okay, I want to pull a couple more cards. We can kind of see some of the difficulty. These to me are pieces of advice as well. Strength, have that strength. Four of Wands, strive for that happiness.
everybody wants it. I want to see what's on her. There's little birds. Okay. Of course, everybody wants that happiness, but sometimes it does take work to get there. And so it does look like there's going to be some things that need to happen in here. Finding that balance, you know, just knowing, defending, knowing that you can do these things. All right, let's take, I want to take another card from the Line Strider deck. Spirit, will you please give us guidance for the year ahead for pile number 2? Guidance, pile number 2, in the coming year. We have the Page of Pentacles. I feel like I may need to cover some of her up for YouTube. It's not too clear what's happening here. Page of Pentacles. Also in reverse. There's a lot of reversals here. This makes me think that perhaps you're waiting on a message. Even, I don't know if you can see this little monkey. He reminds me of the magician here from that same deck. And he's holding the little ball, almost like a little magic ball, which he has here as well. And he's looking out into the distance as if he's waiting for something to come. So it could be that you're waiting on a message, or you're hoping for a message, or you're anticipating something to happen, something to change, but it's in reverse. And to me, this kind of means maybe it's not something that you need to be waiting for. Maybe it's an action that needs to be taken. Let's get one more. Spirit, any other guidance for the year ahead for pile number 2, please? Guidance for the year ahead. We have the Hermit. Okay. Again, like I said, this makes me think that perhaps you've recently left a home. In which case, this would tell me perhaps you're waiting for, you know, somebody to ask you back. Maybe you're waiting for that invitation to come back home. Maybe you're missing home. The guidance that I'm getting from the Hermit is to do this on your own, which, yes, can be difficult, but this to me means, you know, focus on yourself, go inward. It just means to me to try things on your own. Look, you are fully capable. I know that it's really hard to start something totally new, especially, you know, coming from this beautiful castle you have back here. She's really sad, but look, she's got her pots and pans in the back. She's got this warm skin, like animal skin, to keep her warm. So it's not that she doesn't have the things that she needs. It's just that it's hard. You know, she's sad about it. But that doesn't mean that you can't, that she can't move forward. Have that strength. Know that you can make this the life that you want it to be. So please keep that in mind. You can have anything that you want. You can have this happiness. You just need to be strong. Try to do this on your own. That doesn't mean that you can't have support from friends, family, things like that. I don't mean when I say to do it on your own, that doesn't mean to, you know, just completely isolate yourself. The Hermit does tend to mean to go in, but things like this are hard. I really don't see many other people in any of these cards, so maybe it is easiest for you to just completely do it on your own. Maybe you had struggles with friends, like maybe you didn't leave the home of a partner or your parents. Maybe you were living with friends, so maybe that's a lot of the reason why in all of these cards there's kind of a singular individual. We do have like the little animal friend in these ones, right? Page of Pentacles. The pages tend to be the messengers, but she has her little magician companion there, the monkey. And then here we have the girl with her. It actually doesn't, I think it is supposed to be a lion, but it almost looks like a, oh, I could be very wrong about that. I want to say jaguar, but a wild cat of some sort. Which is interesting to me because the lion, I don't know, when I think of lions, I tend to think of male, but this reminds me a bit more of a female, female with female energy, like friends, you know, just getting that support from friends. This is interesting too. I just noticed that it's probably hard to see, but she's eating her fruit, and her little monkey companion has the very same ball, hand in the very same way. So it could be that there's somebody who may be in a similar situation that you could probably ask for guidance, if that's helpful, for advice, you know, or just spend some time with. Again, when I say try this on your own, I just mean maybe don't wait for that request to come back. Maybe that's not what's supposed to come from here. Maybe it's just that you could be benefited. This may be the life that you want on your own. Yeah. So find your balance, stay strong, know that you can have everything that you want. You can have the happiness, even if it didn't come from your past. Okay, there can still be happiness ahead. Okay, pile number 2, this is your reading. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you for joining me with the Universal Translations Intuitive. I'll see you next time. Hello, pile number 3. You chose the Ace of Swords. Could be a new beginning. This could be a new intellectual beginning, a new communicative beginning. These kind of remind me of chakras. So maybe it's, I do want to see also what else you have, but it looks like this also reminds me of a brain. It could be intellectually, maybe you've changed the way that you think about things. I think that's what's sticking out to me most here, but it also could be communication, right? This kind of looks like a web, which makes me think of communication or information. So it could be just a new way to think about things, a new way to talk about things. Maybe you've entered something completely new where there's all of this new lingo that you're learning, or just kind of completely redirecting the way that you think. Okay, so Ace of Swords, let's see what cards you have. Try to go in order here. And I chose them. You have the Three of Cups. This is a beautiful Three of Cups. Friendship. It looks like getting along with the people around you. It's interesting, they're all kind of standing on one foot, which to me just makes me think that they rely on each other in a way. They're all kind of in sync in what they're doing. This makes me think, when I think of Three of Cups, I tend to think of friends or family, but this is making me think of, and it definitely still could be friends or family, but it's making me think of an organization. It could be a new friend group, but it makes me think that there's something behind it. Maybe a new religious group, or group of friends, like a book club or something like that, where you're all in it for the same goal, is what this makes me think. Okay, we have the Queen of Coins. Interesting, okay. The Queen of Coins, or the Queen of Pentacles, tends to be very like mothering, nurturing. I don't see that so much in this card, but it does seem like she's been gathering. She's kind of showing like, look, I do have the means to support. I'm curious about this snake that's kind of winding around the tree. And she's in this beautiful garden of flowers. She's got the sun behind her, almost like, when you see Jesus or saints or something like that, they have the orb around their heads, almost like a saint. So like like Mother Teresa, something like that, Mother Mary. So perhaps you have a main role in this organization or in this group. Maybe you're in charge, not in charge, but maybe you tend to feel like the mother in that group. Maybe you feel like you're the one who keeps it going. I'm really curious about the snake. It doesn't look like she's afraid of the snake at all, so I'm not worried about the snake. I'm just very curious about it. The snake can also indicate wisdom and things like that, so it could be that, again, she could be the head of the group, so maybe she knows the most about it. So we're talking about like communication and new intellectual thought, which we tend to get from that swords or ace of swords. And so this could be wisdom, or knowing, something like that. But let's see what else we have. Let's pull the oracle card. We have the wolf, which is freedom. Interesting. I wonder, this makes me think perhaps that you were in an organization, but perhaps you're breaking apart from that, which makes me think the snake could be, and not evil, again, not evil. Snakes don't have to be bad or evil, but you know, like people might say a snake in the grass. So it could be that somebody in your organization or somebody in this group that you were a part of was kind of a snake in the grass to you. Maybe you separated yourself from them, just because I'm seeing this freedom. That doesn't have to be the case. I still want to see what else we have, but that's kind of what this is making me think. And so maybe you're having to think about things totally differently. Maybe you're having to form a new web of communication because you're not in communication with these ladies anymore. Okay, we have two more tarot cards. We have the Six of Swords. Yeah, I think that's the idea I'm getting from here. Six of Swords, you're kind of leaving something behind, right? She's in the boat, it looks like with a child, which is interesting because, again, the Queen of Coins tends to be, or Queen of Pentacles tends to be mothering. So protecting somebody. There's some support here, right? I don't see the mother rowing the boat. I see this man who may or may not be related. It's really hard to tell from this card, but this man or this boy is rowing the boat. It does seem to be something, you know, something nice in the future. It looks like they're rowing towards this castle, but this does tend to be Six of Swords, leaving something behind. Okay, and ooh, wow. The last tarot card we have is the Queen of Wands in reverse. You have two queens here and an ace. There's a lot of big energy here. So Queen of Wands, I think maybe you are learning to be on your own. I think for the most part that is what I'm getting from this. So perhaps you were happy in this group. Perhaps you thought that these people were everything. Look how intertwined they are. They're in sync. They're having a great time, almost like sisters. So maybe it felt like this in the group that you were in, but perhaps something went wrong, right? That snake again. So you're having to leave all of that behind. You're having to learn an entire new way of thinking because you thought you knew this, you thought you knew that well. So you're having to learn a whole new way of thinking, create a whole new web of communication, right? You're having to find a whole new group of people, and I don't really see the group in here yet. Maybe I will take a couple more cards and we'll kind of see what we can get from that, but leaving that behind. And so the Queen of Wands to me is always very much like her own person, almost like a don't take, you know, crap from anybody. Very much her own person. And I love this card. I love the look that she has on her face because you can see that she's not taking anything from anybody. It just very much stand your ground. The Queen of Wands also, to me, tends to represent somebody motherly, and perhaps that's because it reminds me of my own mother, but motherly, but in a very different kind of way. When I think about the Queen of Wands, I don't tend to get that very like giving energy, or like nurturing, which I get from the Queen of Coins. The Queen of Wands makes me think more like in charge, like the one who's making the decisions, the one who chooses the actions. Again, Wands does tend to be actions, whereas coins tends to be like oftentimes money or things that are physical. So it's like the means of support, the means of, you know, providing the money, providing the home, providing the things physically. That's what I'm looking for, physically, that you need. Whereas the wands are more action oriented. So, you know, calling the shots in a way. And this queen makes me think nobody else is calling the shots. And maybe that could have been what's happening here. It doesn't always have to be that, again, that the snake is a bad thing. It does make me think that because of everything else that's going around, going on in your pile, but perhaps in this case, you weren't the one calling the shots. Maybe you needed to be the one calling the shots. Maybe there was something, maybe somebody made a decision that just didn't sit right with you and you just couldn't be a part of that anymore. All right, I want to see what else we have. I'm going to pull a couple more cards. We're going to go... I'm really called to go from this deck. The other two piles I pulled more from the Line Strider deck. For this one, I'm going to go through the Divine. I'm going to go through the Divine Tarot. I'm going to choose two more tarot cards. Spirit, please give me further guidance for pile number 3 for the year ahead. Guidance for pile number 3. Spirit, please. Oh, I got both at the same time. Alright, thank you. We have the High Priestess. I love seeing that alongside these other two queens. Okay, the High Priestess and the Page of Cups. Oh my gosh. We see the rabbit. I want to say it's the Queen of Coins that we tend to see the rabbit in. So it's interesting, like in this Queen of Coins, I'm pretty sure that's the one that I'm thinking of, that we tend to see the rabbit, but we don't have that rabbit in this card, not that I can see. The rabbit tends to mean like fertility and things like that, which again, related to motherhood. But in this case, we don't have the rabbit. We have all of these blooming flowers everywhere around her. But interesting that the rabbit did come up. All right, look at the same orb that you see around the head here. We see that in both cards. That makes me think that these are very much related. Maybe there's a message that your page tends to be messengers. Maybe there's a message that you're waiting on, or maybe there's a message that you have received. Cups tends to be emotional. So perhaps this makes me wonder if this is somehow related to motherhood. Also because we have the moon tends to be like the feminine, whereas the sun is like the masculine. So I wonder, with all of these moons around, I have 6 moons, I'm sure that that's important. I'll think about that. So all of these moons around, you still have all of the flowers, very abundant flowers all around. I wonder if there's, perhaps you're waiting on a message regarding motherhood. Perhaps you've received a message about motherhood. I love that there's all these smiles. I mean, she doesn't look very happy, but from what I think about the Queen of Wands, it's not that she's unhappy, it's that she does not settle. This is not a playful, you know, happy-go-lucky energy. It's a very, like, stern energy. But, you know, when a lot of the time I think when we think about things that are emotional, it's often sad. I don't know why I think that. It definitely doesn't have to be. Half the emotions are happy. But look at all the cups. Look at all the smiles, which makes me wonder perhaps if this could be mother and children. Perhaps you have daughters. Perhaps you have children. It doesn't have to be daughters. It does appear here as 3 women. I wonder, perhaps it could also be children who have left the home, which now leaves you on your own. We have that freedom again, so maybe you have kids who just recently left the home. Maybe they've grown into adults. which again would make you have to, find a new friend group. You don't have those children to take care of anymore. A completely new way of thinking, right? That was your entire life. So it could be that as well. But I love that there's all these smiles here. I really don't see negativity in this pile at all. This looks like joy. I realize that I haven't mentioned much about guidance, have I? It's all just very much like the situation that's occurring. We'll think about that as well. We have the High Priestess here, which again makes me think of motherhood. The High Priestess definitely isn't necessarily a mother, but it's very intuitive. It's very feminine in the same kind of way. She has her hand up to her mouth, but I don't see a cup there. She's reading. I love that. And it's interesting to me because the High Priestess, to me, the High Priestess is not someone who gets her information from books. She's very intuitive. Not that she doesn't need to learn from books. I don't think that that's the case, but it's that all of the information that she receives is intuitive information. But I love that she's reading, and that makes me think again of maybe you have some new free time. Like maybe there was something that you were a part of that you're no longer a part of, and it's freeing up your time. Like you have time to lounge, time to hear your own thoughts. And maybe the reason why I'm not getting much in terms of guidance is that maybe this thing has already begun. Maybe you're already in it. And so I think the guidance that I would get from this is just be in it. Again, I see all these smiles. So enjoy time that you have. Enjoy the freedom that you have. Enjoy the, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess the decision-making power that you have. Like it seems like at this point, you are the only person who's making the decisions. And that can be a wonderful thing. So enjoy that. Even though, so there can be some sadness in the Six of Swords and that there's something that's left behind. But again, look at this beautiful place that they're going to. This almost makes me think, right? This is like the castle. It makes me think that that's where the High Priestess is. Did I pull this reversed? I can't remember now. I must have because I set it there reversed. Which makes me think that perhaps this is guidance. Maybe you haven't gotten here yet. It does seem like some of these things have occurred already. You're coming into that new web of communication. So maybe it's guidance could be if you have not found that new group or that new organization or, really come to terms with that new way of thinking. If you've not accepted the state that you're in right now, if you're still on the boat and you have not yet arrived to the castle that's in your future, focus on that. Think about the freedom that you have. Think about how nice it can be. Even if there can be some sadness from leaving things behind, think about how nice it can be to be on your own, to have the time to sit here on your own, to hear your own thoughts, to read your book, just to be alone. Sometimes that can be so nice and so needed. So it looks like you're gonna have some time to yourself, and I think if there's guidance here, it's to embrace that. Accept it with joy. Know that that can be a good thing. And if you haven't yet, because I do see that freedom and it does look like, the sword can also be severing. Most of these cards are individuals with the exception of these three. So if you've not yet separated yourself from this group, that doesn't mean if there's nothing wrong with the group to separate yourself from the group. It really depends on the situation that you're in. It's interesting. It's almost like the rabbit's carrying a leash here wrapped around the boy's ankle. So it could be that maybe something's trying to hold on to you. If you've had thoughts of leaving an organization or a group that you're in where you're not happy, whether that's a job, a friend group, anything that could be. If you feel tied, if you've been thinking that perhaps you want to separate yourself, I think what this could be telling you is to do that. I do think it would be beneficial. I think it's really, I love all the queen energy here. The high priestess reminds me of a queen, but in a different way, in a very like intuitive way. So if you haven't yet separated yourself from a group that you feel like you need to be separated from, I think the guidance would be to do that. Okay, pile number 3, this was your reading. Thank you, Spirit, for all of your guidance. I hope to see you guys in the next one. Thank you for joining me here at Universal Translations Intuitive. See you next time.